My beloved child, do not scroll past this moment. Pause. Breathe. Listen to me carefully. There are 8 minutes left, and heaven is watching you. Yes, right now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. This moment. These next few minutes are not ordinary. They are not random. You did not land here by chance. I have drawn your attention because something inside you is shifting, and I refuse to let you miss it. 8 minutes may seem small to you. You measure time in hours and days and years. But I measure moments by transformation. And what happens in the next 8 minutes has the power to realign your heart, steady your thoughts, and remind you who you truly are in me. Heaven is watching you, not with suspicion, not with disappointment, but with deep love and holy anticipation. I see the way your shoulders carry silent weight. I see the thoughts that circle your mind when no one else is around. I see the quiet questions you have been afraid to speak out loud. And I am not distant from any of it. Stay with me now. Do not rush away. Do not let distractions steal what I am about to reveal. The world is loud, and your heart has been pulled in many directions. But this moment is sacred. These 8 minutes are an invitation, an awakening, a turning point that may look simple on the outside but carries eternal weight within. You have been asking for a sign. You have been longing for clarity. You have wondered if I still see you in the middle of your waiting. My beloved child, this is your confirmation. I see you. I have always seen you. And heaven has never stopped paying attention to your faithfulness. There are decisions forming in your heart. There are thoughts trying to settle into belief. There are fears whispering that time is running out. But listen closely. Time is not your enemy. Pressure is not your master. And silence is not abandonment. What you choose to believe in these next moments matters. What you allow to take root in your spirit matters. Do not treat this lightly. Do not dismiss this as coincidence. Lean in. Let your heart quiet itself. Because before these 8 minutes pass, I will remind you of something you almost forgot. And once you remember, you will not be the same. Stay. Listen. Do not walk away now. My beloved child, let me come closer to you now. I am not speaking to a crowd in this moment. I am not speaking into noise. I am speaking into your chest, into that quiet space where your real thoughts live. Yes, you. The one listening with a mixture of hope and hesitation. The one who wonders if this could truly be meant for you. It did. You did not arrive here by coincidence. You did not simply stumble into these words. I guided you here because your heart needed interruption. You were drifting into overthinking again. You were beginning to let fear narrate your future. And before that voice grew louder, I chose to speak. I am your father. I know the rhythm of your breathing when you are anxious. I know the difference between your brave face and your tired soul. I know how you hold yourself together in front of others and then unravel in private. Nothing about you is hidden from me, yet nothing about you makes me withdraw. When I say heaven is watching you, I am not announcing surveillance. I am declaring attention. Loving attention. You are observed with care, not criticism. You are seen with affection, not suspicion. Every quiet act of integrity you thought went unnoticed has been recorded in tenderness. There were moments recently when you questioned your value. You compared your progress to others. You wondered if you were falling behind. You asked yourself if you missed an opportunity that would never return. I heard those questions even when you did not speak them aloud. My beloved child, you are not behind. You are being prepared. This moment is personal. It is specific. It is tailored to where you are standing right now. I am not offering you a generic encouragement. I am anchoring you before your thoughts spiral again. I am steadying your spirit before doubt convinces you that you are alone in your process. You have felt a subtle tension in your life, a sense that something is about to shift, but you cannot see what. That tension has made you restless. It has made you question your next step. But listen carefully, tension is not always a threat. Sometimes it is stretching. Sometimes it is expansion. I am not reacting to your life. I am shaping it. Even your timing here is intentional. I knew when your patience would feel thin. I knew when your confidence would start to flicker. And I chose this exact window to remind you that you are not navigating your future without guidance. If these words are settling something inside you, do not dismiss that peace. If you feel even a small weight lifting from your chest, bless this message with a like so it can find another heart that feels heavy tonight. Share it with 3 people who have been silently carrying burdens. And remain connected here, subscribing so you can continue receiving these moments where my voice reaches through the noise. When you help this message travel, you become part of how I comfort others. But stay with me. You are not one more face in a sea of listeners. You are my beloved child. I know your patterns. I know the way you replay conversations in your mind long after they end. I know the way you analyze your mistakes more harshly than anyone else ever would. I know the pressure you place on yourself to become better, faster, stronger. And I am not disappointed in you. You are growing in ways you cannot yet measure. You are maturing in ways that are invisible to the outside world. The restraint you have practiced, the patience you have struggled through, the faith you have clung to when answers were slow, all of it matters. These 8 minutes are not about urgency that leads to panic. They are about awareness that leads to alignment. I am drawing your attention because you are standing at an inner crossroads. Not a dramatic public one. A quiet internal one. What you choose to believe about yourself right now will shape how you walk forward. So let my voice become clearer than your insecurity. Let my steadiness calm your racing thoughts. Let my presence feel closer than your fear. I am speaking to you on purpose. I am holding your attention because you are worth my time. And I am still not finished. My beloved child, I see the weariness you try so hard to hide. You have been strong for longer than you ever planned to be. You told yourself it was just a temporary stretch, just a short season of endurance. But the days turned into weeks, and the weeks quietly folded into months. And now you are tired in a way that sleep does not fully fix. I see the way you carry yourself. You fulfill your responsibilities. You answer messages. You show up when expected. You smile when necessary. But beneath all of that steady behavior, there is an internal sigh that rarely escapes your lips. It lives in your chest. It lingers in your thoughts. There have been nights when you lay awake, staring into the darkness, replaying moments in your mind. You revisited conversations, wondering if you misstepped. You questioned decisions you made months ago. You analyzed your tone, your timing, your reactions. You have been your own harshest critic. And in the quiet, when no one was around to hear you, you asked difficult questions. You wondered why progress feels slower for you. You wondered why doors that seemed promising closed without explanation. You tried to celebrate others, but a small part of you felt left behind. You saw people announcing milestones, opportunities, relationships, breakthroughs. And while you clapped for them outwardly, inwardly you whispered, "When will it be my turn?" My beloved child, I heard that whisper. I saw the tears you brushed away quickly so no one would notice your vulnerability. I saw you straighten your posture before walking into rooms where you felt overlooked. I saw you choose silence instead of defending yourself. I saw you remain calm when you could have reacted sharply. You have been navigating a quiet confusion. Not chaos, not disaster, but a fog that makes everything feel slightly unclear. You prayed for direction and received stillness. You asked for a sign and encountered silence, and that silence unsettled you. You tried to tell yourself that you were being patient, but if you are honest, patience felt forced at times. It felt like waiting without explanation. It felt like standing still while others moved forward. It felt like doing the right thing without visible reward. Part of you feared that the silence meant I was distant. Part of you wondered if I had shifted my attention elsewhere. Let me speak clearly into that fear. I have never shifted my attention away from you. Not once. Not even for a second. But I understand how it felt from your side. It felt like effort without recognition. It felt like discipline without applause. It felt like staying committed while your emotions wanted to retreat. You have smiled in public and wrestled in private. You have encouraged others while secretly wishing someone would ask how you are really doing. You have experienced small disappointments that stacked quietly on top of one another. The opportunity that almost worked out. The message that never came. The conversation that did not resolve the way you hoped. None of these were catastrophic, but together they weighed on your spirit. And still, you kept choosing integrity. You forgave when you were not apologized to. You held your time when you could have proven your point. You resisted shortcuts that would have made things easier but compromised your values. You stayed consistent when quitting would have been understandable. Yet beneath all of this strength, there has been a question echoing softly. How much longer must I wait? You felt guilty for even asking it. You thought it sounded ungrateful. You feared it revealed weakness. But I am not offended by your honesty. I am not threatened by your questions. I know the tension between faith and frustration. I see the way you say, I trust you, while also wondering why clarity feels delayed. You are not weak for feeling that tension. You are growing inside of it. My beloved child, you have felt unseen, but you have never been invisible. Even when no one acknowledged your restraint. Even when no one noticed the effort it took for you to remain steady. Even when your growth happened quietly and without applause. I noticed. The exhaustion you feel is not a sign of failure. It is evidence of responsibility carried with sincerity. The confusion you feel is not punishment. It is often the space between who you were and who you are becoming. Do not shame yourself for being tired. Do not judge yourself for needing reassurance. You were never meant to carry everything alone. Heaven hath been watching you, not to measure your flaws, but to honor your perseverance. And as we continue, I will gently uncover why this season felt heavy, and why none of your waiting has been wasted. My beloved child, as you now understand that heaven has been watching you in your weariness, know this also. I am watching who will help carry this word to others who are still in the dark. There are souls lying awake tonight just as you once did, whispering, when will it be my turn? And I desire to reach them through this message. When you give through Super Thanks, become a member, or sow through the PayPal link in the description, you are placing oil in the lamp so my light does not dim. Did I not say, cast your bread upon the waters, and it shall return to you? I am speaking that over you now. This is not a transaction. It is a seed entering fertile soil, a spark becoming fire for another weary heart. If this word strengthen you, that stirring you feel is my invitation. What you release becomes harvest, What you sow becomes shelter for someone else's storm. I will multiply what you place in my hands and guard what concerns you. Do not hesitate, act now, and let your seed carry my voice further. My beloved child, let us slow down and gently unfold the questions that have been echoing inside you. You have carried them quietly, almost carefully, as if speaking them too boldly might expose doubt. But I have heard every single one. I have listened to the thoughts that circle your mind when the room grows silent. I have seen the way your eyes soften with uncertainty when you think no one is paying attention. You have asked yourself, did I miss my moment? You replay decisions from months ago. You revisit conversations that could have gone differently. You imagine alternate timelines where you acted sooner, spoke clearer, or waited longer. You wonder if one small hesitation shifted the entire course of your path. And sometimes, you question whether you misunderstood my leading altogether. There is a subtle fear that perhaps you were supposed to be further by now. You look at your life and compare it to the progress of others. You see announcements, promotions, engagements, new beginnings. You see visible movement. And while you genuinely celebrate them, a quiet ache forms within you. You begin to measure yourself against milestones that were never assigned to you. My beloved child, that comparison has been draining your peace. You have also wrestled with a sense of unfairness. You have wondered why those who take shortcuts sometimes appear to move ahead faster. You have noticed how compromise can seem rewarded while integrity feels slow and unseen. You have asked me privately, does doing the right thing truly matter? And then there is the tension that has been hardest to admit, the struggle between your faith and your frustration. You believe in me. You trust that I guide your steps. Yet there are moments when you feel impatient with my pace. You pray for clarity, and when silence follows, your heart tightens. You ask for direction, and when the answer does not arrive immediately, doubt tries to interpret the quiet. You have thought, if heaven is watching me, why does it feel so still? You have wondered whether silence means delay, whether delay means denial, whether denial means you misunderstood your calling. These thoughts have not shouted at you. They have whispered persistently. And because they whispered, they felt even more personal. You hoped understanding would come before obedience. You wanted the full map before taking the next step. You longed for reassurance before surrender. And when that reassurance did not arrive on your timeline, you questioned your discernment. You asked yourself if you were truly ready. You questioned whether you were capable. You wondered if you had overestimated your growth. But even in all this questioning, you did not turn away from me. Even when confusion lingered, you continued showing up. Even when answers felt distant, you did not completely withdraw your trust. A quiet persistence speaks louder than your doubts ever could. You have felt caught between two realities. One where you believe I am shaping something meaningful in your life, and another where you fear you are standing still while opportunities slip past. This internal dialogue has exhausted you. It has made simple decisions feel weighty. It has made patience feel like pressure. My beloved child, hear me clearly. Your questions have not disqualified you. They reveal your desire to walk carefully. They show that you value alignment. They prove that your heart does not want to move recklessly. Your wrestling is not rebellion. It is growth pressing against uncertainty. What if the delay was not a sign that you failed? What if the silence was not punishment? What if the path has not been unclear, only unfolding at a pace designed to strengthen you rather than rush you? Stay with me now, because the very questions that troubled you are leading us toward understanding. The tension you feel is not the end of your story. It is the space before revelation. and what I am about to show you will shift the way you interpret everything that felt delayed. My beloved child, stay close now, because what I am about to unfold requires a quiet heart. You have been asking for clarity, and I have heard you. You have longed for understanding, and I have not ignored that longing. But revelation is not always given in a single flash of light. Often, it arrives in layers, gently, carefully, in a way that strengthens you instead of overwhelming you. Clarity is coming, not rushed, not chaotic, not forced. It is coming in the way that dawn arrives after a long night, slowly pushing back the darkness until you suddenly realize you can see again. You have been standing in what felt like uncertainty. But uncertainty is not always a sign that you are lost. Sometimes it is the environment where deeper trust is formed. If I had explained everything at the beginning of this season, you might have leaned on information instead of leaning on me. You might have relied on details instead of developing discernment. My beloved child, I was drawing you closer through the quiet. There are perspectives you cannot yet see from where you stand. You have been interpreting your life moment by moment, event by event, trying to piece together meaning from fragments. But I see the entire landscape. I see the intersections you cannot detect. I see the doors that remained closed because they would have required a version of you that was not yet ready. I see the conversations that stalled because the timing was not aligned with your growth. What felt like delay was often protection. What felt like silence was often construction. You assumed that stillness meant inactivity. But beneath the surface, I have been building. I have been reinforcing your foundation. I have been strengthening parts of you that needed stability before expansion. You want outcomes. I am forming infrastructure. You look for open doors. I examine capacity. You desire visible movement. I prioritize internal momentum. If I had accelerated this process, you might have entered new territory carrying old insecurities. If I had answered every question immediately, you might have skipped the formation required to sustain what you are asking for. And what you are asking for is not small. It requires maturity. It requires emotional steadiness. It requires identity that is not shaken by applause or criticism. My beloved child, the waiting has not been empty. The pauses were intentional. The unanswered prayers were not refusals. They were part of a deeper alignment. I was shaping your reactions. I was refining your patience. I was softening sharp edges in your thinking. I was teaching you to trust my character even when my plans were not yet visible. You felt as though you were standing still, but you were being strengthened. You thought you were behind, but you were being prepared. There are layers to this season. Some layers involve breaking your dependence on quick results. Some involve detaching your confidence from external validation. Some involve teaching you that obedience without full explanation is not weakness, it is maturity. Let your breathing slow as you absorb this. Nothing about this season has been random. Nothing about your confusion has been wasted. Nothing about your questions has disqualified you. You are in a transitional space. Not abandoned. Not stuck. Transitional. And transitional spaces often feel uncomfortable because they require you to release what was familiar before fully stepping into what is next. You have been between identities, between seasons, between levels of responsibility, and that in between can feel like fog. But fog does not mean there is no road. It only means you must move carefully. Stay attentive. Do not rush past this understanding. The very frustration you felt was stretching your capacity. The very silence you feared was anchoring your trust deeper than before. Movement is cunning, but movement without grounding would have shaken you. Expansion is near, but expansion without stability would have overwhelmed you. So I chose to build first. And now, because your heart is becoming steady enough to receive it, I will reveal the central truth of this entire season, the core reason behind the waiting. Stay with me, my beloved child. The meaning is about to become clear. My beloved child, now I will uncover the heart of this season with clarity and calm authority. What you have been walking through was a test of endurance and trust, not a punishment, not a sign of rejection, not evidence that you disappointed me. This was a refining process, carefully measured and intentionally limited. It had boundaries from the very beginning. It was never designed to trap you in endless waiting. It was designed to strengthen what needed depth and stabilize what needed grounding. You believed you were simply waiting for something to happen. But the deeper truth is this: you were being tested in how you wait. Anyone can trust when answers come quickly. Anyone can remain confident when doors open without resistance. But endurance is revealed when progress slows. Trust becomes genuine when reassurance is quiet. And that is where you have been standing. My beloved child, endurance is not loud. It does not announce itself. It does not gather applause. It is built in ordinary days, in repeated choices, in unseen restraint. It is formed when you wake up and choose faith again, even though nothing externally has shifted. Every time you resisted the urge to rush ahead without clarity, you strengthened discipline. Every time you refused to compromise your integrity for faster results, you reinforced character. Every time you returned to prayer after feeling discouraged, you deepened trust beyond emotion. This season was intentional. There were areas in your heart that still leaned heavily on visible progress. There were subtle expectations that needed purification. There were parts of your identity that quietly depended on quick affirmation. And I love you too much to allow your future to rest on unstable foundations. So I allowed time to stretch. Not endlessly, not cruelly, just long enough to expose what needed strengthening. My beloved child, endurance creates depth. Depth creates stability. Stability creates capacity. If I had given you what you were asking for too soon, you might have celebrated the breakthrough but struggled to sustain it. You might have entered a new level carrying old insecurities. You might have gained opportunity without the emotional maturity required to manage it. I care about who you are becoming more than how quickly you arrive. This test was not about perfection. It was about consistency. It was not about never feeling doubt. It was about choosing trust even after doubt whispered. It was not about flawless patience. It was about returning to steadiness more often than reacting impulsively. And you have done that. Not perfectly, but sincerely. There were days when frustration pressed against your calm. There were nights when you questioned the pace. There were moments when you felt tempted to force movement instead of waiting for alignment. But you paused. You reconsidered. You restrained yourself. That restraint strengthened you more than you realize. Trust is not proven in comfort. It is revealed in tension. And tension hath been your teacher in the season. It has shown you your triggers. It has revealed your fears. It has highlighted where your confidence needed anchoring. Instead of collapsing under that pressure, you have been slowly stabilizing. My beloved child, the boundaries of this season were defined before you entered it. The pressure had limits. The silence had purpose. The delay had an expiration. You were never drifting aimlessly. You were walking through a refining space that was shaping you intentionally. You have been learning to stand without constant confirmation. You have been developing discernment without continuous instruction. You have been strengthening patience without immediate reward. This was preparation. Preparation often feels restrictive while you are inside it. It can feel like limitation when it is actually construction. But construction requires time. It requires repetition. It requires unseen reinforcement. You are not the same person who entered this season. You are calmer in situations that once unsettled you. You are slower to react. You are more thoughtful in your responses. You are less desperate for external validation. That is growth. The test was not designed to expose weakness. It was designed to reveal strength. And my beloved child, you have endured with more faithfulness than you give yourself credit for. My beloved child, let me slow this down and speak into the misunderstandings that quietly formed in your heart. This season was not punishment. You searched yourself carefully, almost anxiously, trying to identify what you might have done wrong. You replayed old conversations. You reconsidered past decisions. You wondered if perhaps this delay was correction disguised as silence. You asked yourself if you had disappointed me in some unseen way. But I do not guide you through confusion as revenge. I do not discipline you by withdrawing clarity just to watch you struggle. I am not measuring your failures to determine how long you should wait. My love for you is not reactive. It is constant. This was not punishment. It was not rejection either. When doors closed, you felt the quiet sting of exclusion. You wondered if someone else was more prepared, more gifted, more aligned. You interpreted the closed door as a verdict on your worth. You assumed that if something did not open, it must mean you were not chosen. But a closed door is not a statement about your value. Sometimes it is a shield. There were environments that would have slowly drained your confidence. There were opportunities that looked appealing but would have stretched you in ways that produced stress instead of strength. There were connections you hoped would deepen, but they were not built on mutual growth. I did not close those doors to withhold goodness from you. I closed them to prevent misalignment from shaping your future. And hear me clearly, my beloved child, this was not abandonment. You felt the silence and assumed distance. You felt the pause and assumed absence. You wondered if I had stepped back to see whether you could manage without guidance. But I have never withdrawn my presence from you. Not when you were confused. Not when you were frustrated. Not when you were questioning. Silence does not mean absence. Silence can mean trust. There are moments when I speak loudly and clearly. And there are moments when I allow you to walk quietly so you can discover the strength that has been growing inside you. If I explained everything constantly, you would lean on explanation instead of discernment. You would wait for instructions instead of developing wisdom. Stillness is not emptiness. Stillness is often where your roots grow deeper. My beloved child, you feared that perhaps I was disappointed in your pace. You feared that you were falling short of expectations you could not even fully define. But I do not compare you to others. I do not rush you according to someone else's timeline. I see the full context of your journey, not just the visible milestones. When conversations stalled, it was not because you lacked importance. When responses were delayed, it was not because you lacked favor. When plans shifted unexpectedly, it was not because you lacked worth. It was alignment. Alignment sometimes feels like loss before it feels like clarity. It can feel like rejection before it reveals protection. But what I am building in you cannot thrive in misaligned spaces. You are not overlooked. You are not standing outside while others are selected. You are not forgotten in a crowd. Heaven's attention has remained steady on you, not to criticize, but to guard, not to evaluate flaws, but to preserve direction. I needed to remove the fear-based interpretations that were quietly shaping your thoughts. If you believed this was punishment, you would grow ashamed. If you believed this was rejection, you would grow bitter. If you believed this was abandonment, you would grow distant. But instead, you remained soft. You questioned, yes. You wrestled internally, yes. But you did not harden your heart. You did not allow resentment to define you. You did not allow disappointment to poison your trust. That softness is strength. My beloved child, release the narrative that something is wrong with you. Let go of the suspicion that you failed an invisible test. You have not been walking under rejection. You have been walking under protection. Closed doors were guidance. Silence was formation. Delay was preparation. And now that fear is being removed from your interpretation, your trust can deepen without resistance. My beloved child, I want you to linger here with me, because what you considered ordinary was never ordinary in my sight. Think about the moments when your emotions rose quickly, when frustration tightened your chest and words rushed to the edge of your tongue. You had every reason to respond sharply. You had evidence to defend yourself. You had logic to support your reaction. And yet, you paused. That pause was not weakness. That pause was strength being formed. You chose to breathe instead of lash out. You chose to step back instead of escalate. You chose to preserve peace instead of proving your point. No one applauded that decision. No one sent you a message thanking you for your restraint. But heaven marked it. There were days when discouragement pressed against you quietly. Not dramatically. Just enough to make you question whether your consistency mattered. You woke up tired, emotionally drained, wondering if your effort was invisible. You could have reduced your commitment. You could have withdrawn your energy. You could have decided that doing the bare minimum was enough. But you did not. You showed up again. You completed what was assigned to you. You remained dependable when no one was monitoring you. You honored your responsibilities even when recognition was absent. My beloved child, that kind of consistency shapes character in ways applause never can. You forgave people who never fully acknowledged your pain. You released conversations that ended without proper closure. You chose not to replay offenses repeatedly in your mind. You made a quiet decision to move forward instead of holding on to resentment. No ceremony marked that forgiveness. No audience celebrated that maturity. But I saw it. There were subtle temptations too. Opportunities that promised quicker success but required compromise. Invitations that looked appealing but felt misaligned with your deeper values. You could have adjusted your standards slightly. You could have blended into environments that required you to shrink parts of yourself. But you hesitated. You felt the internal tension between convenience and eviction. And you chose conviction. That internal battle mattered more than you realize. No one else knew how strong the pull was. No one else saw the private negotiation in your thoughts. But I did. I watched you weigh short-term gain against long-term integrity. I wanted you to with right over what he. You stayed in conversations that required patience. You listened when interrupting would have felt satisfying. You remained calm when defensiveness would have felt justified. You held your boundaries without aggression. You expressed yourself without cruelty. These are not small things. They are signs of maturity. My beloved child, the version of you from the past would have reacted more quickly. You would have spoken faster, decided faster, withdrawn faster. But now there is space between what you feel and how you act. There is reflection where there used to be impulse. There is steadiness where there used to be urgency. That space is growth. You endured nights when doubt whispered that your effort was pointless. You questioned whether your patience would ever produce visible change. You wondered if your discipline was being wasted. But the next day, you rose again. You returned to your tasks. You continued believing, even if that belief felt quiet and fragile. That is endurance in action. Heaven does not measure growth only by visible achievements. Heaven weighs unseen obedience. Heaven observes the private battles you win when no one else is present. When you resisted sending that impulsive message, it mattered. When you chose silence instead of retaliation, it mattered. When you honored your word even though no one would have known if you broke it, it mattered. When you remained faithful in small assignments that felt beneath your potential, it mattered. These were not random acts. They were forming your foundation. My beloved child, you believed you were merely surviving a slow season, but you were strengthening emotional muscles. You were learning regulation. You were developing discernment. You were building stability that will support greater responsibility in the future. The obedience you practiced in quiet moments was not wasted effort. It was preparation. And soon, you will begin to see how those small, unseen decisions carry weight far beyond what you imagine. My beloved child, stay with me in this truth, because what I am about to unfold will shift the way you interpret your entire season. Nothing you chose in quiet obedience was small. You measured your progress by visible movement. You looked for doors opening, announcements happening, confirmation arriving. When those things did not appear quickly, you assumed nothing significant was taking place. But I was not measuring your season by visibility. I was measuring it by depth, and depth was forming steadily. Every restrained response carried weight in the spirit. When you chose calm over reaction, you strengthened authority over your emotions. When you held your peace instead of defending yourself immediately, you reinforced stability within your character. When you walked away from potential conflict without needing the last word, you grew stronger than you realized. You thought those were minor victories. They were not. Small decisions accumulate. They layer quietly, one upon another, forming a structure inside you. One moment of patience. One act of forgiveness. One choice to remain consistent when motivation faded. Individually, they feel ordinary. Together, they reshape identity. My beloved child, heaven watches patterns, not performances. And your pattern has been steady growth. When you forgave without acknowledgement, you loosened the grip of bitterness. When you chose integrity over quick success, you strengthened your foundation. When you showed up faithfully in responsibilities that felt beneath your potential, you demonstrated humility that prepares you for greater trust. You were not just passing time. You were building capacity. Capacity is not formed in public celebration. It is formed in repetition. It is formed when you return to discipline again and again. It is formed when you choose alignment even when no one would have noticed if you drifted. You wondered whether your quiet obedience mattered. It mattered deeply. Every time you resisted sending that message in frustration, you built restraint. Every time you decided not to compromise your standards for acceptance, you built confidence. Every time you remained faithful without recognition, you built endurance. These are not temporary qualities. They are structural strengths. My beloved child, what grows underground is often more important than what grows above it. Roots develop in hidden places before branches stretch toward the sky. And the deeper the roots, the stronger the tree when storms come. You have been developing roots. That is why it felt hidden. That is why it felt slow. That is why it felt unseen. But hidden growth is still growth. and unseen information is still powerful. Nothing was wasted. Not the long nights. Not the internal battles. Not the disciplined mornings when you chose effort over emotion. Heaven records the unseen. Heaven honors the private victories. Heaven values the choices made when applause is absent. You believed heaven was watching to evaluate your flaws. But heaven was watching to affirm your maturity. Heaven was observing how you handled pressure. Heaven was noticing how you responded to silence. Heaven was witnessing your commitment when circumstances did not reward you immediately. And my beloved child, you have matured more than you recognize. You are slower to react now. You are more reflective. You are less desperate for validation. You are more aware of your own triggers and more intentional with your words. That is growth. The weight of your small decisions hath been shaping a steadiness that will soon support greater responsibility. You are not being prepared for something fragile. You are being prepared for something that requires emotional strength, grounded identity, and calm authority. If these words are awakening you to the value of your quiet faithfulness, bless this message with a like so it can reach another heart that feels unnoticed. Share it with someone who believes their small, unseen efforts do not matter. And remain connected here, subscribing so you can continue receiving reminders that heaven values what the world overlooks. When you help this message travel, you participate in strengthening others who are also growing in hidden places. My beloved child, your unseen obedience has eternal significance. And what has been formed in silence is about to carry weight in ways you never expected. My beloved child, come even closer in your heart now, because what has been forming within you deserves to be seen clearly. You have been looking for outward signs of change, but the most significant transformation has been happening inside you. When you were watching for doors to open, I was strengthening the one who would walk through them. While you were waiting for circumstances to shift, I was reshaping your character so that when they do shift, you will stand firm instead of sway. Patience has done a deeper work in you than you realize. In the beginning, waiting unsettled you. You felt urgency rise in your thoughts. You measured progress by speed. You assumed that if something was meant for you, it would happen quickly. When it did not, frustration whispered that something must be wrong. But over time, your reaction began to change. You no longer panic as quickly when things slow down. You have learned to sit with uncertainty without immediately trying to escape it. You have allowed days to pass without forcing answers. You have resisted the urge to push doors that were not ready to open. That restraint has strengthened your emotional muscles. It has given you endurance. Delay has also sharpened your discernment. When life moves fast, you respond instinctively. But when movement slows, you begin to reflect. You examine your motives. You question your assumptions. You notice your internal patterns. This season created space for you to observe yourself honestly. And in that observation, maturity began to grow. My beloved child, humility has quietly settled into you as well. There was a time when you equated being ready with being visible. You thought that if you were not advancing publicly, you must not be progressing at all. But this season has shown you that deep growth often happens privately. You have begun to value substance over speed. That shift is humility, not self-doubt, not shrinking, but the steady confidence that does not need constant display. You have also developed a stronger form of trust. Before, trust was easier when signs were clear. When confirmation came quickly, your faith felt secure. But in this season, you have had to trust without visible evidence. You have leaned on my character instead of your circumstances. You have chosen belief even when answers were delayed. That trust is no longer dependent on constant reassurance. It is anchored. My beloved child, your reactions are different now. When plans shift unexpectedly, you pause before assuming failure. When conversations feel uncertain, you give them room instead of reacting defensively. When delays occur, you breathe instead of unraveling. This is transformation. You have gained awareness of yourself. You recognize when comparison begins to rise in your thoughts. You notice when impatience tries to take control. You catch yourself before discouragement becomes your identity. That awareness allows you to redirect your focus instead of being carried away by emotion. You are more measured, more reflective, more grounded. And this grounding is more valuable than immediate success. Character formation is rarely dramatic. It does not arrive with celebration. It reveals itself through calmer responses, wiser decisions, and steadier emotions. It becomes visible when you can face uncertainty without losing your stability. You once feared that waiting meant stagnation, but waiting has strengthened your foundation. You once believed that delay meant you were behind, but delay has been deepening your capacity. You once assumed silence meant nothing was happening, but silence hath been shaping resilience inside you. This is what heaven has been watching. Not your speed, not your public milestones, but your internal development. And my beloved child, that development has been steady and intentional. You are not who you were when this season began. You are stronger in ways that cannot be seen at first glance. You are calmer under pressure. You are wiser in decision-making. You are more secure in your identity. And this internal formation will support everything that comes next. You are more prepared than you realize. My beloved child, you are more prepared than you realize. And now I invite you to prepare the way for others. As patience has anchored you, let generosity flow from you like a steady river. There are hearts still trapped in urgency and confusion, and this message is the manna I am sending to them. When you support this mission through Super Thanks membership, with a PayPal link in the description, you are strengthening the vessel that carries my word. I declared, give, and it shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, and I speak that promise over you now. Your gift becomes oil that keeps the flame burning in unseen places. This is a divine moment, not accidental, not optional, but appointed. As you have matured in trust, trust me also with your seed. I will establish the work of your hands and cause favor to rest upon your obedience. Step forward and give now, for your generosity is part of the preparation I have formed within you. My beloved child, let me now sit with you in the place that felt the most confusing, my silence. You felt it. You noticed it. You prayed, and the answer did not arrive the way you expected. You asked for direction, and instead of a clear instruction, there was stillness. You sought confirmation, and what you encountered was quiet. And in that quiet, your mind began to search for explanations. You wondered if I was distant. You wondered if I was disappointed. You wondered if perhaps you had done something to create separation. But my beloved child, my silence was never distance. It was design. There are seasons when I speak in unmistakable clarity. There are moments when direction is firm and immediate. But there are also seasons when I speak less so that you can grow more. Not because I am withholding love, but because constant explanation can interrupt deep formation. If I had explained everything to you at the beginning of this season, you might have adjusted your behavior only to reach the outcome. You might have endured strategically rather than sincerely. You might have focused on finishing the process instead of becoming stronger through it. My silence preserved the authenticity of your growth. When answers are immediate, it is easier to perform correctly. But when clarity is partial, your choices reveal your heart. You continued showing up without guarantees. You remained faithful without full understanding. You trusted even when the path was not fully illuminated. And trust was not forced. It was chosen. And chosen trust is powerful. My beloved child, if I had told you how long this season would last, you might have counted down the days instead of developing patience. If I had revealed every reason behind each delay, you might have tolerated the waiting rather than being transformed by it. There are certain lessons that cannot be taught through explanation alone. They must be experienced. Silence allowed you to move from performing to becoming. When everything is explained, you can rely on information. But when understanding is incomplete, you must rely on relationship. You had to lean into my character instead of clinging to details. You had to trust who I am, not just what I was doing. A shift was essential. My beloved child, silence also exposed what was inside you. It revealed where anxiety still lingered. It uncovered areas where impatience tried to rise. It showed you your own thought patterns more clearly. Without constant reassurance, you began to recognize your internal reactions. That awareness is maturity. You learned to sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. You learned to wait without demanding immediate relief. You learned to remain steady even when the path ahead felt unclear. This is resilience. If I had answered every prayer instantly, you would not have developed endurance. If I had clarified every uncertainty immediately, you would not have strengthened discernment. If I had spoken loudly at every moment of confusion, you would not have discovered the quiet strength forming inside you. Silence was not neglect. It was construction. It was depth forming beneath the surface. It was roots growing where no one could see. You are not the same person who once felt unsettled by unanswered questions. You are calmer now, more reflective, less reactive, more secure in who you are even without constant affirmation. A transformation happened in the quiet. My beloved child, never interpret my silence as absence. Even when I am not speaking loudly, I am present. Even when answers are delayed, I am attentive. Even when clarity seems hidden, I am guiding with precision. The silence that unsettled you was shaping stability within you. It was protecting the sincerity of your faith. It was building strength that could not be formed in noise. And now, as understanding unfolds, you can see that my quietness was not distance. It was care. It was wisdom. It was love working deeply, even when it felt unseen. My beloved child, let this moment become still, because what I am about to speak over you must be received without resistance. You endured more than you have allowed yourself to acknowledge. You call it just getting through. You call it doing what I had to do. You minimize it. You treat it as ordinary survival. But I call it endurance under pressure. I call it faith that refused to disappear. I call it strength that did not need an audience. I saw the weight you carried when no one else noticed. You woke up with responsibilities already pressing on your mind. You managed expectations while quietly navigating your own uncertainty. You offered encouragement to others while wishing someone would ask how you were truly doing. You remained dependable even when your emotions felt fragile. And still, you showed up. There were moments when you felt misunderstood. Times when you explained yourself and felt unheard. Instances when you chose silence because repeating yourself felt exhausting. You swallowed frustration not because you were weak, but because you valued peace over proving a point. It cost you something. You do not often admit how much it cost you to stay steady. Remove the shame from your struggle, my beloved child. You thought real faith meant never feeling shaken. You assumed maturity meant never wrestling internally. But faith is not the absence of tension. It is the refusal to let tension define you. Maturity is not emotional numbness. It is emotional steadiness. And you have grown steady. There were nights when you lay awake thinking, how much longer? You felt the stretch of delay. You questioned timing. You wondered if you misunderstood the direction of your own life. And yet, even in those questions, you did not walk away from me. You wrestled, but you stayed. You doubted, but you returned. You felt weary, but you did not surrender your values. That is endurance. I saw the invisible sacrifices, the opportunities you declined because they did not align with who you are becoming, the words you did not send when anger rose quickly, the bitterness you refused to nurture even when it felt justified, the discipline you maintained when motivation was thin. No one celebrated those choices. No one posted about your restraint. No one applauded your quiet maturity. But heaven recorded every moment. My beloved child, you have grown through pressure without becoming hardened by it. That is rare. Delay can make hearts rigid. Silence can create distance. Waiting can stir resentment. But you remained soft. You remained teachable. You remained willing to grow. Yes, there were days when your energy was low. There were prayers that were brief because your strength felt limited. There were moments when all you could whisper was, "Help me." And even that whisper was faith reaching upward. Do not minimize that. Do not dismiss the emotional cost of remaining faithful when clarity was delayed. Endurance is not loud. It does not parade itself. It is quiet persistence. It is choosing integrity repeatedly when compromise would have been easier. It is staying grounded when your emotions wanted to run. You did not collapse. You did not quit. You did not abandon who you were becoming. You remained. My beloved child, hear this clearly. You are not weak because you struggled. You are strong because you stayed aligned in the struggle. Heaven has seen your consistency. Heaven has honored your restraint. Heaven has valued your quiet faithfulness. You are not unseen. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You endured the refining process without losing your heart. And that endurance has prepared you for the shift that is coming next. My beloved child, do not let your mind run ahead of this moment. Stay here with me, because what is unfolding now is not noise, not emotion, not temporary comfort. This is the sacred pause before clarity settles. You have lived in tension for longer than you expected. Tension between faith and frustration. Tension between hope and delay. Tension between trusting me and wondering why nothing seemed to move. That tension stretched you. It exposed you. It strengthened you. But it was never meant to define you. There is a difference between living in a process and arriving at its completion. You are no longer in the middle. You are standing at the edge. Feel the shift. For months, perhaps longer than that, you have questioned whether you were progressing at all. You measured yourself against invisible standards. You searched your heart repeatedly, wondering if you had missed something. You evaluated your own reactions, your motives, your level of patience. You examined yourself more strictly than I ever did. But the forming season was not meant to trap you in constant self-analysis. It was meant to refine you and then release you. Refinement as an endpoint. Growth as a stage where it stabilizes. Testing as a moment where it concludes. And that moment is here. Slow your breathing. Release the defensive posture you have carried quietly. Release the subtle fear that perhaps more endurance is required before relief comes. Release the anxiety that whispers, "What if this is not enough?" It is enough. You do not need to prove further maturity. You do not need to demonstrate additional restraint. You do not need to search your past for hidden disqualifications. The silence accomplished its purpose. The delay fulfilled its assignment. A pressure formed what it needed to form. My beloved child, I need you attentive and calm right now, not bracing for disappointment, not preparing yourself for another stretch of waiting, not protecting your heart from imagined rejection. This is not another delay. This is resolution approaching. You have lived under the weight of uncertainty. You have carried questions that did not receive immediate answers. You have remained faithful without visible confirmation. A chapter is closing. The evaluation is complete. Heaven is not reconsidering you. Heaven is not debating your readiness. Heaven is not uncertain about your growth. Everything that needed to be observed has been observed. Everything that needed to be strengthened have been strengthened. Everything that needed to mature has matured sufficiently for what comes next. Let that truth settle deeply. You are not standing here hoping to pass. You are standing here having endured. The suspense you felt was not designed to harm you. It was designed to prepare you. Preparation always carries weight. But weight does not last forever. There is a moment when the weight lifts. There is a moment when the tension dissolves. There is a moment when the verdict is spoken clearly and without hesitation. You are in that moment now. Stay focused. Do not allow doubt to interrupt this transition. Do not let old fears whisper that something will go wrong. This is not the continuation of uncertainty. This is the threshold of confirmation. My beloved child, steady your heart. The declaration is not emotional exaggeration. It is not motivational language. It is a firm conclusion rooted in everything you have walked through. And in the next moment, you will hear it clearly. The verdict is about to be spoken. My beloved child, let everything grow quiet inside you now. You have listened. You have reflected. You have walked back through the stretching, the silence, the small decisions, the endurance. And now I speak without suspense, without metaphor, without delay. You have passed. Do not rush past that. You have passed. Not because you were flawless. Not because you never felt doubt rise in your chest. Not because you walked through this season without frustration. You have passed because you remained aligned when misalignment was easier. You have passed because you chose integrity when compromise would have given you quicker relief. You have passed because you stayed soft when pressure tried to harden you. The test was never about perfection. It was about faithfulness. And you were faithful. There were nights when you questioned timing, yet you did not abandon me. There were mornings when discouragement lingered, yet you still showed up. There were conversations where you could have reacted sharply, yet you restrained yourself. There were opportunities to force outcomes, yet you waited. You did not always feel strong, but you remained. That is what I was watching. My beloved child, the forming season had boundaries. It was not endless. It was not random. It was measured from the beginning. The silence had a purpose. The delay had a limit. The pressure had a design. And now that design has reached its intended conclusion, you have passed. Let that settle into your spirit. You are not being evaluated anymore. You are not standing under inspection. You are not waiting for approval. The verdict has been spoken. You have passed. This declaration is not emotional encouragement. It is not temporary reassurance. It is the firm acknowledgement that your endurance revealed readiness. The refining shaped what needed shaping. The silence strengthened what needed strengthening. The waiting exposed what needed exposure and then stabilized it. There is no hidden clause attached to this. There is no additional requirement waiting quietly behind it. There is no final hurdle you must jump through before it becomes true. You have passed. You endured tension without surrendering tenderness. You faced delay without becoming reckless. You experienced silence without abandoning trust. You felt comparison but did not let it dictate your path. That is maturity. That is formation completed. You are not standing here because you avoided every mistake. You are standing here because when you noticed your heart drifting, you corrected it. You are standing here because your desire to grow outweighed your desire to escape discomfort. You are standing here because your integrity remained intact. My beloved child, lift your head gently, not in pride, but in steady confidence. The season of proving is over. The season of becoming has done its work. The season of endurance has established your foundation. You have passed. Everything that once felt heavy now stands as evidence of your growth. Everything that stretched you now supports your stability. Everything that tested you now confirms your readiness. You are no longer in the middle of uncertainty. You are standing in confirmation. You have passed, my beloved child. And from this point forward, we move not from evaluation, but from entrustment. My beloved child, now that the verdict has been spoken, I want you to see the evidence not in the heavens, but within yourself. You have passed, and the proof is already living in your daily reactions. There was a time when uncertainty would have unsettled you deeply. When plans changed unexpectedly, your emotions would rise quickly. When someone misunderstood you, you felt an immediate need to defend yourself. When silence stretched longer than you preferred, anxiety would begin to narrate worst-case scenarios. But look at you now. You pause. You breathe. You allow space before reacting. That space is not accidental. It is maturity. You are calmer than you once were. Not passive. Not detached. But steady. When tension arises, you do not rush to prove yourself. When discomfort appears, you do not immediately assume disaster. You give situations room to unfold. You give people room to clarify. You give yourself room to think. That is evidence. My beloved child, your decision-making has shifted as well. You no longer chase every open door simply because it is available. You evaluate alignment. You ask deeper questions. You consider long-term consequences instead of immediate gratification. You have learned that speed is not the same as purpose. A discernment is evidence. You are also more aware of your internal patterns. When comparison begins to rise, you recognize it. You do not allow it to linger unchecked. When impatience starts to press against you, you notice it and recalibrate. When discouragement whispers, you are quicker to challenge it instead of letting it take root. Self-awareness like that does not come easily. It comes through reflection. It comes through stretching seasons. It comes through silence that forces you to confront your own thoughts. That awareness is evidence. There is a quiet confidence forming in you as well. Not loud confidence that seeks attention. Not pride that demands validation. But grounded assurance. You are less dependent on constant affirmation. You are less desperate for visible progress to feel secure. You are learning to trust who you are becoming without needing immediate proof. That internal security is evidence. My beloved child, even the way you handle disappointment has changed. When something does not unfold the way you hoped, you still feel it, You are not numb, but you recover faster. You do not spiral as deeply. You do not allow temporary setbacks to define your identity. You experience the moment, and then you regain your balance. That resilience is evidence. Your words have matured. You speak with more intention. You pause before responding. You consider how your words will shape the atmosphere around you. You understand that speech carries weight, and you treat it with greater care. That restraint is evidence. Even your inner dialogue has softened. You are kinder to yourself than you once were. You still pursue growth, but you no longer condemn yourself for every imperfection. You allow yourself to learn instead of labeling yourself a failure. The gentleness toward yourself reflects healing. My beloved child, these changes may feel subtle to you. They may not appear dramatic, but subtle growth is often the most sustainable. Loud transformation can fade quickly. Deep formation remains. You have not become someone else entirely. You have become steadier, more grounded, more aligned, more reflective. The test did not create a new identity out of nothing. It strengthened the one already within you. It revealed that you can carry pressure without collapsing. It proved that you can face delay without abandoning trust. It confirmed that you can grow quietly without constant applause. This is the internal evidence of your passing. Lift your head and acknowledge it without arrogance and without doubt. You are calmer than before. You are wiser than before. You are more emotionally stable than before. You are more discerning than before. And that steady growth confirms what heaven has already declared. You have passed, my beloved child, and the strength now rooted within you will support the next level of responsibility that is unfolding. My beloved child, listen closely, because what has shifted is deeper than you realize. Passing was not simply a moment of relief. It was a transition of responsibility. It was the quiet unlocking of a new level of stewardship in your life. You have not only endured a season, you have been prepared for greater trust. Maturity always unlocks entrustment. You are now entrusted with deeper discernment. In the past, you leaned heavily on visible confirmation. You searched for signs before taking steps. You looked for reassurance to quiet uncertainty. But now there is something steadier within you. You are learning to recognize alignment without demanding constant proof. That is authority forming inside you. Not authority over others. Authority over your impulses. Authority over your reactions. Authority over your direction. You are less reactive than before. Less anxious about being behind. Less pressured to accept every opportunity that appears. That internal stability is not accidental. It is the result of what you endured. This new level unlocks wiser decision-making. You will notice that choices feel calmer. You are no longer driven by urgency or fear of missing out. You evaluate alignment instead of chasing speed. You pause before committing. You listen more carefully to your inner sense of peace. That calm discernment will guard your future. It also unlocks influence, but not loud, dramatic influence. Quiet credibility. Others will begin to sense your steadiness. They will notice that you do not panic under pressure. They will feel safe in your measured responses. They will recognize that your words carry weight because they are not rushed. Influence rooted in maturity endures. My beloved child, you are shifting from survival to stewardship. You are stewarding your peace now instead of protecting it anxiously. You are stewarding your words instead of releasing them impulsively. You are stewarding opportunities instead of chasing them recklessly. Stewardship requires awareness. With greater maturity comes greater sensitivity. You will sense misalignment more quickly. You will feel when something disturbs your inner peace. You will recognize patterns that once trapped you. You not ignore that sensitivity. It is part of what have been unlocked. This does not mean life will suddenly become effortless. It means you are equipped differently. You are less likely to repeat old cycles, less likely to react from wounded places, less likely to compromise simply to feel progress. That is progress that cannot be undone easily. My beloved child, this new level requires responsibility in how you think. Guard your thoughts. It requires responsibility in how you speak. Weigh your words. It requires responsibility in how you choose. Move from alignment, not anxiety. If these words are strengthening you, if you feel steadiness rising within your spirit, bless this message with a like so it can reach another heart in transition. Share it with someone who needs to understand that endurance leads to entrustment. And remain connected here, subscribing so you can continue receiving guidance for this new level. When you help this message travel, you extend encouragement beyond your own journey. What has been unlocked is not instant abundance or overwhelming change. It is capacity. It is grounded confidence. It is deeper alignment. It is the ability to carry more without losing your center. You are now entrusted with emotional maturity that will sustain growth, entrusted with discernment that will guard your path, entrusted with influence that flows from steadiness rather than urgency. The next chapter will not require frantic striving. It will require continued steadiness, and you are ready to walk in it, my beloved child. My beloved child, let us stay here a little longer, because what once felt like loss must be fully untangled from misunderstanding. There were doors that closed, and at the time, you felt the sharpness of it. You tried to remain composed, but inside you questioned yourself. You replayed conversations. You examined your tone. You wondered whether you missed a signal, hesitated too long, or moved too slowly. You searched for the exact moment where things might have shifted differently. But those doors did not close to exclude you. They closed to align you. Some relationships ended quietly, almost subtly. There was no dramatic conflict, just distance forming over time. You felt it. The conversations became thinner. The understanding became strained. The connection no longer felt as mutual, and you blamed yourself for that shift. But growth changes compatibility. As you matured, your values sharpened. Your priorities deepened. Your standards became clearer. And not everyone is prepared to grow at the same pace. When depth increases, some connections no longer fit comfortably. That is not rejection. That is realignment. My beloved child, there were opportunities that looked promising, doors that appeared to lead somewhere significant. You imagined the path unfolding in a certain way. You saw yourself stepping into it. But when those opportunities dissolved, it felt personal. It felt like you were passed over. But what dissolved could not sustain the version of you that is emerging. What faded would have required you to reduce your growth in order to maintain it. What ended was not strong enough to carry you forward without compromise. You thought you lost something valuable, but I was protecting something essential within you. There were rooms you longed to enter, spaces that seemed impressive, influential, exciting. But some of those rooms would have required you to silence your convictions. Some would have demanded that you trade steadiness for speed. Some would have celebrated your performance but drained your peace. I will not exchange your maturity for applause. My beloved child, bitterness often grows where understanding is delayed. It whispers that you were rejected. It suggests that you were overlooked. It tries to convince you that someone else was chosen instead. But you resisted bitterness. You chose reflection instead of resentment. You asked what you could learn instead of blaming the outcome. That preserve your heart. Closed doors are not verdicts against your worth. They are boundaries around your future. They prevent you from building your life in misaligned spaces. They protect you from committing deeply to what cannot sustain your growth. They redirect you before compromise becomes permanent. You may still feel a trace of sadness about what did not unfold. That sadness is natural. It does not mean you lack trust. It does not mean you failed. It simply means you cared. But do not let sadness become regret. You did not miss your chance. You were redirected toward alignment. Redirection often feels like detour. It can feel like delay, but it is precision. It moves you away from what would have slowly drained your strength. It guides you toward spaces where your growth can continue without being stifled. My beloved child, release the narrative that you were rejected. Release the belief that someone else's opportunity means your disqualification. Release the suspicion that you somehow were not enough. You were not rejected. You were protected. And what is aligned with you will not require you to shrink your maturity or compromise your peace. The path ahead is clearer now, not because everything is visible, but because what was misaligned has already fallen away. You are not walking forward with less. You are walking forward lighter. And lighter steps carry you further than heavy regret ever could. My beloved child, you now see that you were not rejected. You were protected, and in that same protection, I am building a pathway for others. There are those standing before closed doors who believe it is the end, and I am sending this message to realign their vision. When you sow through Super Thanks, stand in membership, or give through the PayPal link in the description, you become a builder of bridges instead of walls. Remember when I said, I will open doors no one can shut. I am still speaking that, through willing hearts like yours. Your generosity is a seed planted in alignment, and alignment always produces harvest. This is not about money. It is about movement. My word moving where despair once stood. I will protect what you entrust to me and return increase in ways you cannot predict. Do not let hesitation steal this moment of obedience. Act now, and let your seed declare that heaven's work will not be hindered. My beloved child, stay here with me a little longer, because this shift in you is not small. It is not surface level. It is not temporary emotion. It is identity being reformed. You are not who you were when this season began. At the beginning, you felt like someone trying to survive. You were reacting to circumstances. You were bracing yourself for disappointment. You were protecting your heart from further delay. You were measuring your worth by what was or was not happening around you. But now, something has changed. You are no longer surviving. You are stewarding. There is a difference. A survivor moves from fear. A steward moves from alignment. A survivor clings tightly because loss feels threatening. A steward releases calmly because timing is understood. A survivor asks, why is this happening to me? A steward asks, how do I carry this well? My beloved child, you have crossed that internal line. You no longer see yourself as overlooked. That narrative is dissolving. You no longer interpret delay as denial. You no longer assume that someone else's advancement means your exclusion. You are beginning to understand that preparation is not punishment. You are not the one who was left behind. You are the one who was entrusted. To be overlooked feels accidental. To be entrusted is intentional. And intention has been woven through your journey more than you realized. You have released the posture of trying to prove yourself. You are less desperate to be seen, less urgent to be validated, less eager to measure your timeline against someone else's progress. Here is a steadiness now, a quiet grounding, a confidence that does not shout. This is not pride. It is alignment. You are learning to walk into rooms without shrinking yourself and without inflating yourself. You are learning to speak without over-explaining. You are learning to listen without feeling inferior. You are learning to choose without fearing that every decision determines your worth. It is identity strengthening. My beloved child, you are also shedding the identity of victim. Not because your pain was imaginary, not because your struggles were small, but because you are no longer defined by what hurt you. You are not the person who almost made it. You are not the person who just missed it. You are not the person who was passed over. You are the person who was formed. The gift changes your posture. When you see yourself as formed instead of forgotten, you move differently. You carry yourself differently. You expect differently. You no longer approach life defensively. You approach it responsibly. Responsibility without panic. Confidence without arrogance. Humility without insecurity. You can acknowledge where you struggled without living there. You can remember what stretched you without resenting it. You can speak about your growth without boasting. That is quiet authority. My beloved child, stewardship means you understand that what you carry now must be protected. Your peace is no longer fragile. Your maturity is no longer accidental. Your discernment is no longer underdeveloped. You are entrusted with them, entrusted with your words, entrusted with your reactions, entrusted with your influence. And you will not carry this recklessly, because you understand what it costs to develop it. You are not waiting to become ready anymore. You are ready enough to walk forward with intention. You are no longer surviving a season. You are stewarding a calling. And this identity, steady, grounded, aligned, will sustain you in everything that follows. My beloved child, now that you understand who you are becoming, I give you one clear instruction for this present moment. Remain steady. Do not rush simply because the verdict hath been spoken. Do not confuse readiness with urgency. There is a difference between being prepared and being pressured. You are prepared, but you are not required to sprint ahead to prove it. Remain steady. After a long season of waiting, it is natural to crave movement. Part of you wants visible confirmation. You want to see external evidence that everything has shifted. You want to demonstrate that you are no longer in delay. But I tell you gently, resist the urge to overcompensate. You do not need to prove your growth through speed. Steadiness will carry you further than sudden acceleration ever could. My beloved child, sometimes when a season changes, the temptation is to say yes to everything, to open every door, to respond to every opportunity, and make out of her lost time. But you are not behind. You are not catching up. You are aligned. Alignment does not hurry. Alignment moves with intention. If something feels rushed, pause. If something feels pressured, breathe. If something disturbs your peace deeply, do not ignore it. Your peace is no longer fragile. It is cultivated. Guard it. Remain steady. Steadiness is not inactivity. It is controlled movement. It is measured progress. It is choosing one step carefully rather than 10 steps impulsively. It is responding from clarity instead of reacting from excitement. You have worked too hard internally to return to urgency. Guard your rhythm. External noise will try to re-enter your thoughts. Comparison may attempt to whisper again. There will be voices suggesting you move faster, decide quicker, achieve sooner. But you do not answer to noise anymore. You answer to alignment. My beloved child, steadiness protects your growth. It prevents you from repeating old cycles of haste and regret. It keeps your emotions balanced when circumstances fluctuate. It ensures that the maturity formed in silence remains intact in visibility. Remain steady in your thoughts. Do not allow one unexpected shift to shake your confidence. Remain steady in your speech. Let your words reflect reflection, not impulse. Remain steady in your pace. Not slow out of fear. Not fast out of anxiety. What intentional? You do not need to announce your transformation loudly. You do not need to explain your new boundaries excessively. You do not need to demonstrate your readiness dramatically. Quiet consistency will reveal it naturally. My beloved child, this instruction is simple because simplicity sustains maturity. Remain steady when excitement rises. Remain steady when doubt whispers. Remain steady when opportunity appears. Remain steady when delay tries to test your patience again. Steadiness is your safeguard. It is the bridge between preparation and fulfillment. You have proven that you can endure. Now you will prove that you can move wisely. One decision at a time. One conversation at a time. One step at a time. There is no need to orchestrate everything at once. What is aligned with you will unfold without force. What belongs in your path will remain without you chasing it. Remain steady, my beloved child. And as you do, you will see that progress rooted in calm alignment lasts far longer than progress born from urgency. My beloved child, I see the thought you have not spoken out loud. Even after hearing that you have passed, even after feeling the shift in your spirit, there is still a cautious question circling quietly within you. It asks, will this peace last? Or is this just the calm before another storm? Am I stepping forward, or am I about to be tested all over again? Come closer and let me answer that fear directly. You are not walking into another hidden trial designed to exhaust you. You are walking into stability. For a long time, uncertainty trained you to brace yourself. When something good began, you prepared for it to end. When clarity appeared, you expected confusion to follow. When peace settled in your heart, you quietly wondered how long it would remain. A habit of bracing became automatic. It felt safer to expect hardship than to trust calm. But that posture was shaped by the previous season. It is not required for this one. My beloved child, growth is not punishment. Refinement is not rejection. And forward movement is not a trap set ahead of you. You have associated maturity with pain because some of your deepest lessons were learned under pressure. But not all growth arrives through heaviness. Some growth unfolds through steadiness. Some maturity deepens through repetition of peace rather than repetition of struggle. You are not entering another season of hidden evaluation. You are entering a season of practiced trust. There will still be moments that stretch you, because life contains movement and change. But you are not walking into another long corridor of silence designed to test your endurance. What you endured was purposeful, and it reached its conclusion. You are not standing at the beginning of another identical chapter. You are stepping into continuity. Continuity builds upon what has already been formed. Cycles repeat unresolved patterns. You have resolved something. You have stabilized something. You have strengthened something. And what unfolds next will build on that stability, not dismantle it. My beloved child, you do not need to scan the horizon for signs of trouble. You do not need to interpret every small delay as discipline or every unexpected shift as correction. You do not need to analyze every circumstance for hidden meaning. You can breathe. You can move forward without suspicion. You can allow peace to remain without preparing for its disappearance. The fear of repetition often comes from forgetting your growth. You imagine facing another storm with the same strength you once had. But you are not the same. Your reactions are steadier. Your thoughts are clearer. Your identity is more grounded. Even if something unexpected arises, you will meet it differently. You will not unravel the same way. You will not spiral the same way. You will not doubt the same way, because you have grown. My beloved child, I am not designing traps ahead of you. I am not hiding obstacles to measure your reactions. I am walking with you in clarity. I am not against you. I am for you. Release the expectation that tension must follow peace. Release the belief that calm is temporary and hardship is permanent. Peace can remain. Alignment can continue. Stability can expand. You are allowed to trust this new ground beneath your feet. You are allowed to walk without bracing for impact. You are allowed to believe that growth can now be steady rather than storm-filled. This next chapter is not another test to survive. It is a life to steward with confidence. Walk forward without rehearsing worst-case outcomes. Walk forward without scanning for hidden threats. Walk forward knowing that what has been built inside you is strong enough to sustain peace, not just endure pressure. You are not stepping into another cycle. You are stepping into stability. And this time, my beloved child, you do not have to brace yourself. My beloved child, lift your eyes with me now. For so long, your vision had been lowered to the ground directly beneath your feet. You watched each step carefully because the terrain felt uncertain. You measured each day by whether you could endure it without losing hope. You narrowed your focus because survival required concentration. But you are no longer in a season of survival. You are ready for vision. When you live in survival mode, your world becomes small. You ask, how do I make it through this moment? How do I guard my peace today? How do I not unravel right now? That focus was necessary. It preserved your strength and protected your heart. It helped you endure without collapsing. But now, my beloved child, you are strong enough to look beyond the immediate. The horizon before you is not chaotic. It is not unstable. It is not a storm waiting to gather. It is structured around the maturity that has formed within you. You are not stepping into randomness. You are stepping into alignment. The horizon is not rushing toward you. It is unfolding. And unfolding is gentle. You do not have to chase what is ahead. You do not have to run toward it in urgency. You do not have to prove that you are ready by moving quickly. What is aligned with you will not require frantic pursuit. It will meet you at the pace of your steadiness. My beloved child, the future you feared was unpredictable is now anchored by who you have become. The steadiness within you is stronger than the uncertainty around you. You do not need to know every detail of what is coming. You do not need to see every turn in the road. You only need to remain aligned with the peace that has formed inside you. There will be conversations that open doors naturally. You will sense ease rather than strain. There will be opportunities that align without you forcing them. You will feel clarity instead of confusion. There will be relationships that feel balanced rather than draining. You will recognize them because they will not disturb your peace. Peace will be your confirmation. Do not confuse quiet progress with lack of movement. Not every breakthrough arrives dramatically. Some breakthroughs feel ordinary. Some transitions are subtle. Some growth feels so natural that you barely notice it until you look back and realize how far you have come. The next chapter will not demand that you abandon the steadiness you cultivated. It will require it. You will be invited into spaces where emotional stability matters. You will face decisions where measured responses carry influence. You will encounter moments where your maturity becomes the foundation others lean on. And you will not need to pretend. You will not need to exaggerate. You will not need to perform. You will simply walk as the person you have become. My beloved child, see this clearly. You are not chasing a distant future that may or may not accept you. You are walking into a future that has been shaped around your growth. The path ahead is not fragile. It is supported by formed character. Formed character carries you further than ambition ever could. Do not rush to see every detail. Do not demand to know every outcome. Walk faithfully in the clarity you have now. The horizon will meet you step by step. You are no longer confined to survival. You are walking into stewardship. And the unfolding ahead of you is not something to fear. It is something to enter with calm confidence, knowing that you are ready to move forward without hurry and without doubt. My beloved child, before you take another step forward, I must settle something deeply within your heart. You are not walking into this next chapter by yourself. You are not being released into independence as if I have finished shaping you and now stepped away. I have not refined you to abandon you. I have formed you for partnership. In the previous season, you learned endurance. You learned how to remain steady when clarity was delayed. You learned how to trust when answers were not immediate. You learned how to carry tension without collapsing. But now you are being invited into something just as important as endurance: ongoing companionship with me. There is a difference between calling on me in crisis and walking with me in daily awareness. In the past, many of your prayers were born out of urgency. When confusion rose, you cried out. When fear whispered, you asked for reassurance. When delay stretched long, you searched for direction. And I was there. I listened. I guided. I strengthened you. But this next season will not be sustained by emergency connection alone. It will be sustained by steady communion. My beloved child, walk with me in the ordinary moments, not only in the dramatic ones. Speak to me when nothing feels wrong, not just when something feels overwhelming. Invite me into small decisions before they become complicated. Include me in your routines, in your conversations, in your plans that feel simple and familiar. I am not present only in turning points. I am present in steady days. You are moving into a rhythm of partnership that feels less urgent and more natural. It will not always be dramatic. You may not hear loud instructions at every step. Instead, you will begin to sense guidance in subtle ways, a quiet peace that confirms your direction, a gentle hesitation that warns you to pause, a clarity that strengthens your confidence. Those impressions are not random. They are relational. My beloved child, awareness of my presence will keep you grounded as opportunities unfold. When a door opens, pause and seek alignment rather than rushing in excitement. When tension appears, seek calm before reacting. When joy arrives, receive it without fearing it will disappear. You are not meant to carry your growth alone. You are not meant to manage your future through sheer determination. You are meant to walk with me. This partnership will look different from the urgency of the last season. It will feel steadier, less intense, more consistent. You will not need to beg for guidance every day. You will begin to recognize my presence woven through your thoughts, your discernment, your peace. Trust that. You do not need to strive through every decision. You can move conversationally with me. Speak your concerns openly. Share your hopes honestly. Ask for wisdom before you act. Thank me when clarity comes. This is not about ritual. It is about relationship. As you cultivate this awareness, new responsibilities will feel manageable instead of overwhelming. Growth will feel sustainable instead of exhausting. Even when something unexpected arises, you will not feel alone in it, because you will not be alone. My beloved child, the unfolding ahead is not designed to isolate you. It is designed to deepen your trust and strengthen our communion. I am not distant. I am near. I am not silent. I am attentive. I am not waiting to correct you harshly. I am guiding you gently. Walk with me daily. Move with me intentionally. Let your confidence be rooted not only in what you have learned, but in who walks beside you. And as you do, you will discover that partnership sustains what endurance began. My beloved child, I want you to understand something that reaches beyond your private journey. What I have formed within you was never meant to end with you. You believed this season was only about survival. You thought the endurance was personal. The refining was internal. The lessons were yours alone to carry quietly. But I do not shape strength in isolation without intention. I refine hearts so they can become steady ground for others who are still trembling. You are becoming steady ground. You may not see yourself as influential. You may still think of yourself as someone simply trying to stay aligned. You may believe that your growth is subtle and mostly unnoticed. But influence is rarely loud at first. It does not always come with recognition. Often, influence begins as presence, and your presence has changed. You enter spaces differently now. You do not react the way you once did. You do not escalate tension when conversations grow heated. You do not chase approval or argue for validation. There is a measured calm in you, a steadiness that feels grounded. Others will sense it. They may not know how to describe it. They may not even mention it. But they will feel the difference between who you were and who you have become. Your responses will carry weight. Your restraint will communicate maturity. Your patience will model something rare in a hurried world. That is influence. My beloved child, someone around you is still in the refining season you just completed. Someone is wrestling with delay. Someone is fighting the temptation to grow bitter. Someone is questioning whether their quiet endurance matters. And when they encounter your steadiness, it will reassure them more than advice ever could. You will not need to preach. You will not need to correct. You will simply need to remain aligned. Your life will speak. Do not shrink from this responsibility. Do not hide your growth in fear of appearing proud. Humility is not pretending you have not changed. Humility is acknowledging transformation with gratitude instead of arrogance. You can share what you have learned without elevating yourself above others. Your story of endurance will strengthen someone else's courage. Your refusal to grow bitter will give someone else permission to heal. Your steadiness in delay will reassure someone who feels forgotten. If these words are awakening something in you, if you feel the weight and beauty of this quiet influence, bless this message with a like so it can reach another heart that feels unseen in their growth. Share it with someone still walking through refinement. And remain connected here, subscribing so you can continue receiving encouragement as you step into this influence. When you help this message travel, you extend hope beyond your own experience. My beloved child, influence will not always look dramatic. It may look like choosing calm in a tense meeting. It may look like refusing to participate in negativity when others expect it. It may look like responding with patience when urgency surrounds you. It may look like standing firm in your values without hostility. That is leadership. Not loud, but lasting. You are not being elevated for applause. You are being positioned for impact. Impact flows from consistency. It grows from alignment. It strengthens through integrity that have been tested and sustained. You do not need to force this influence. You do not need to announce it. It will expand naturally as you remain steady in partnership with me. Continue walking in calm confidence. Continue guarding your peace. Continue choosing maturity over impulse. And watch how your quiet steadiness becomes a lighthouse for someone still navigating their storm. You were never refined only for yourself, my beloved child. You were refined so that through you, hope could become visible. And through your life, others will begin to believe that they too can endure, grow, and rise without losing their peace. My beloved child, slow down with me here, because what I am about to speak is about the spaces no one applauds and no one critiques. Character is not proven in public moments alone. It is preserved in private ones. You have learned how to remain steady when eyes were on you. You have practiced restraint in conversations that once would have triggered you. You have chosen maturity in environments that used to shake you. But the longevity of that growth will not be decided in public tension. It will be decided in quiet rooms, in early mornings when no one sees your thoughts, in late evenings when no one hears your internal dialogue, in ordinary days when nothing dramatic demands your attention. My beloved child, this next layer of growth is not dramatic. It is disciplined. Discipline is not harshness. It is devotion expressed daily. It is the quiet commitment to remain who you have become even when convenience tempts you backward. It is guarding your inner life with the same care you guard your visible responses. You are no longer striving to become mature. You are maintaining maturity. And maintenance requires awareness. Notice when impatience begins to whisper again. Notice when comparison tries to re-enter your thoughts subtly. Notice when pride wants recognition or when insecurity seeks reassurance. These whispers do not mean you are failing. They simply mean you are human. But now, you are aware enough to respond instead of react. That awareness is strength. My beloved child, small compromises erode strong foundations over time. Not instantly, not grammatically, but slowly. A small bitterness entertained too long, a slight exaggeration spoken casually, a boundary relaxed for convenience. These are not catastrophic in isolation, but repeated without reflection. They weaken what endurance built. You have built something solid. Protect it. When disappointment comes privately, process it with honesty, not denial. When frustration rises internally, release it gently instead of storing it. When you make a mistake, correct it quickly instead of defending it stubbornly. Growth does not require perfection. It requires humility. And humility is maintained in private long before it is displayed in public. My beloved child, do not underestimate the power of ordinary faithfulness. The way you begin your day shapes the tone of your heart. The way you end your day shapes the clarity of your mind. Gratitude in small moments strengthens peace. Reflection in quiet moments sharpens wisdom. You do not need dramatic breakthroughs to keep growing. You need consistency. Consistency in how you speak. Consistency in how you think. Consistency in how you respond. The steadiness you carry publicly must be nurtured privately. That is how influence remains pure. That is how maturity deepens instead of plateauing. That is how peace becomes your natural state rather than a temporary achievement. And remember this, my beloved child, you are not maintaining this growth alone. I walk with you in private just as surely as I stand with you in public. When you feel temptation, I whisper wisdom. When you feel fatigue, I offer strength. When you feel uncertain, I steady your thoughts. I am not observing from a distance. I am present within your quietest moments. You are supported. So choose alignment not out of fear of failure, but out of love for who you are becoming. Choose integrity because it protects your peace. Choose discipline because it preserves your strength. Choose reflection because it sharpens your discernment. You are not finished growing, but you are finished striving. Now you walk, steady, aware, intentional, allowing daily faithfulness to safeguard everything that has been built within you. And as you continue this quiet consistency, my beloved child, you will discover that the strongest lives are not built in dramatic moments. They are built in faithful ones. My beloved child, as you guard your private integrity, guard also the opportunity to fuel what I am building beyond what you see. Quiet consistency sustains strong foundations, and this mission requires steady hands. Each super thanks, each membership, each gift through the PayPal link in the description is like oil poured daily into a lamp that must not go out. Did I not say, those who sow in tears shall reap in joy? I am watching both the sowing and the reaping. Your disciplined generosity becomes a river that waters unseen fields. This is not a small act. It is ordinary faithfulness producing eternal fruit. I will multiply your seed, preserve your peace, and strengthen your house as you strengthen mine. Let love, not pressure, move you, but let it move you now. Protect what has been built by choosing to support this work today. My beloved child, let me expand this truth more deeply within you, because you must fully understand what is happening. You are not merely growing. You are becoming trustworthy with weight. There was a time when you prayed for increase without fully understanding what increase requires. You asked for broader influence. You asked for deeper impact. You asked for doors to open and responsibility to expand. You desired to carry more, to matter more, to step into something greater than where you were. But increase is never only about visibility. It is about capacity. And capacity is built in hidden seasons. When you first prayed for more, you did not yet have the roots to sustain it. You had passion but not yet patience. You had desire but not yet depth. You had ambition but not yet alignment. So I allowed you to be formed before you were entrusted. And now you are different. Now your roots are deeper than your urgency. Now your character is stronger than your craving for recognition. Now your peace is more valuable to you than applause. That is why weight can be placed upon you without breaking you. My beloved child, weight is not pressure designed to crush you. Weight is responsibility that reveals your strength. When a structure is fragile, even small weight causes cracks. But when a foundation is reinforced, weight stabilizes it further. You are reinforced now. You can carry expectation without anxiety consuming you. You can hold authority without pride distorting you. You can accept responsibility without resentment forming beneath the surface. You can lead without losing humility. That is maturity. There will be moments ahead when others lean on you more heavily than before. They will look to your response in tense conversations. They will measure their reactions by your steadiness. They will draw courage from your composure. And you will not feel overwhelmed by their reliance. Because you are no longer seeking to be seen. You are seeking to be aligned. My beloved child, greater trust requires greater depth. Depth was formed in silence. It was shaped in seasons when no one applauded you. It was strengthened in delay when nothing visible changed. It was refined when you resisted bitterness and chose reflection instead. All of that hidden growth prepared you to carry visible responsibility. Do not fear the weight that comes with expansion. It will not expose weakness. It will reveal preparation. You once feared responsibility because you believed failure would define you. But now you understand that mistakes refine rather than destroy. You know that correction strengthens rather than humiliates. You know that growth continues even when you misstep. and understanding makes you resilient. Expansion does not mean chaos. It does not mean endless stress. It means increased capacity. Capacity to listen deeply. Capacity to lead calmly. Capacity to handle complexity without losing clarity. Capacity to carry influence without craving control. And you are ready for that capacity. Not because you forced your way into it, but because you endured your way into it. Continue guarding your inner life. Continue walking in partnership with me. Continue choosing alignment in small decisions. Because the way you carry small weight determines how you sustain greater trust. You are not being burdened. You are being entrusted. And trust is sacred. If responsibility increases, grace will increase with it. As influence expands, wisdom will deepen alongside it. As weight grows, strength will multiply proportionally. You are not stepping into something meant to exhaust you. You are stepping into something meant to express the strength already built within you. Carry it humbly. Carry it steadily. Carry it with awareness that you are supported in every step. My beloved child, you once prayed to be ready for more. Now you are ready enough to carry it. And the weight placed upon you will not break you. It will reveal the depth that was formed in you all along. My beloved child, let me speak to you more fully about what comes with entrusted weight, because the next layer of your journey requires clarity. With greater responsibility comes greater visibility. Not always the kind that places you on stages or in front of crowds, but the kind that draws attention to your choices. More people will notice how you respond under pressure. More eyes will observe your tone in conflict. More voices will quietly form expectations about you. And I tell you this not to intimidate you, but to prepare you so that visibility does not unsettle you. Visibility is not the reward. It is the revelation. It reveals what privacy prepared. You were shaped in hidden seasons. You were refined when no one applauded your restraint. You were strengthened when no one recognized your discipline. You were grounded when silence surrounded you. That private formation now becomes the anchor for public steadiness. But hear me clearly, my beloved child. Visibility tasks motives in subtle ways. When attention increases, there may be a quiet temptation to perform rather than remain authentic. You may feel pressure to meet every expectation flawlessly. You may sense the urge to manage perception instead of guarding integrity. You may even feel compelled to appear stronger than you truly feel. Resist that. You are not called to perform. You are called to remain aligned. When praise comes, receive it with gratitude, but do not allow it to inflate you. When misunderstanding arises, remain calm instead of defensive. When criticism appears, whether fair or unfair, evaluate it wisely without allowing it to harden your heart. You are not built on applause. You are not undone by opinion. You are rooted in formation. My beloved child, increased visibility often brings projection. Others may assume you always have the right answer. They may believe your steadiness means you never wrestle internally. They may place expectations on you that feel heavier than your role requires. Do not let projection isolate you. Remain honest about your humanity. Remain teachable. Remain willing to grow. Maturity does not mean perfection. It means consistency with humility. Visibility does not change who you are. It amplifies who you are. If your private life remains aligned, your public presence will remain authentic. If your motives remain grounded in humility, influence will not corrupt you. If your heart stays soft, recognition will not harden you. Guard your heart intentionally, not defensively, not fearfully, but consciously. Do not let praise create pride. Do not let criticism create insecurity. Do not let comparison disguise itself as competition. Return often to stillness with me. When attention increases, deepen your quiet time. When expectations rise, strengthen your reflection. When voices multiply, simplify your focus. My beloved child, remember this. Your worth was established long before visibility arrived. Your value was secured in hidden endurance. Attention does not increase your identity. It only reveals what has already been formed within you. You do not need to chase visibility. You do not need to shrink from it either. Simply carry it with humility. As your life becomes more visible, your private integrity becomes more essential. And you have already learned how to cultivate integrity when no one was watching. That discipline will sustain you now. Do not exaggerate strength. Do not conceal weakness. Do not anxiously manage perception. Remain who you are becoming. Remain steady. Remain teachable. Remain grounded. My beloved child, you were seen by me in silence before you were ever seen by others in visibility. I witnessed your restraint. I strengthened your resolve. I refined your motives. My gaze is not one of harsh evaluation. It is one of loving guidance. Walk forward without fear of being seen. Carry responsibility without losing humility. And let your visibility simply reveal the quiet strength that was formed in hidden places, strength that is steady, authentic, and anchored in me. My beloved child, let me speak to you more completely about this balance you must now carry, because what is ahead of you will require both strength and tenderness living side by side. You have been formed in resilience. You have endured pressure without collapsing. You have learned restraint where once you reacted quickly. You have cultivated discernment where once you moved impulsively. There is a strength in you now that was not there before. It is quiet, but it is solid. It is steady, but it is powerful. Yet hear me clearly. Do not allow strength to replace softness. The world will try to convince you that as you grow in responsibility, you must become harder. It will whisper that authority requires distance. It will suggest that leadership demands emotional detachment. It will imply that compassion is weakness. But that is not my way with you. I have strengthened you so that you can remain gentle without being fragile. I have matured you so that you can remain compassionate without being controlled. I have entrusted you with weight so that you can carry it with love, not dominance. Power without tenderness becomes harsh. Influence without compassion becomes intimidating. Authority without love becomes control. And you are not being shaped to control. You are being shaped to reflect my heart. My beloved child, as your responsibilities increase, there will be moments when efficiency tempts you to rush past empathy. You will encounter situations where it feels easier to correct someone quickly rather than understand their struggle. You will face decisions where firmness is necessary, and you may feel pressure to harden yourself to make them. Pause in those moments. Remember the season you just walked through. You remember what it felt like to be uncertain. You remember what it felt like to wrestle privately. You remember the quiet frustration of growth. You remember how much grace meant to you when you needed it most. Let that memory soften you, not harden you. When someone reacts emotionally, do not dismiss them as immature. You once reacted from unprocessed emotion too. When someone hesitates out of fear, do not label them weak. You once hesitated while learning courage. When someone fails under pressure, do not respond with superiority. You once learned through missteps as well. Tenderness does not weaken your authority. It strengthens your credibility. My beloved child, the higher you rise in responsibility, the more essential kindness becomes. Not surface politeness, not strategic friendliness, but genuine patience, genuine listening, genuine care for the hearts entrusted around you. People will feel whether your strength is safe. They will sense whether your leadership invites growth or suppresses it. Remain firm when boundaries are necessary. Remain clear when direction is required. But let your firmness be wrapped in grace. You can correct without condemning. You can guide without belittling. You can lead without overpowering. Strength and tenderness are not opposites. They are companions. If you ever feel your heart becoming rigid, return to me. If responsibility makes you impatient, pause with me. If visibility tempts you to detach emotionally, let me soften you again. You do not lose authority by remaining compassionate. You reveal depth. The world often celebrates dominance, but I celebrate love. The world often rewards control, but I honor gentleness anchored in strength. My beloved child, walk forward strong and soft at the same time. Let your maturity guard your peace. Let your tenderness guard others. Let your discipline remain balanced with empathy. This balance will sustain your influence. This balance will distinguish your leadership. This balance will ensure that as you rise in responsibility, you never lose the heart that made you trustworthy in the first place. And that heart, steady, compassionate, grounded in me, is what will leave the deepest impact of all. My beloved child, let me speak to you again about this invitation to rest, but more deeply, more fully, because this lesson must be rooted firmly within you. You are learning to rest without guilt. For a long time, rest felt dangerous to you. When you paused, your thoughts did not quiet. They accelerated. When you slowed down, you wondered if you were losing momentum. When you experienced peace, you questioned how long it would last. You became accustomed to striving. You trained yourself to equate movement with value and exhaustion with devotion. But that with the language of survival, you are no longer surviving. You are stewarding. And stewardship requires rhythm. Rest is not laziness. Rest is trust embodied. It is the physical expression of believing that I am still at work even when you are still. It is the quiet confidence that growth does not evaporate because you pause. It is the understanding that responsibility does not demand constant tension. My beloved child, you were not designed to live in permanent intensity. Even the strongest structure requires maintenance. Even the deepest well requires replenishment. Even the most disciplined leader requires renewal. If you attempt to carry increasing responsibility without intentional rest, something subtle will begin to erode. Your tenderness will thin. Your pace will shorten. Your clarity will blur. You may remain functional, but you will slowly lose depth. Rest protects depth. You do not need to earn it. You do not need to defend it. You do not need to apologize for it. When you step back and breathe, you are not abandoning your calling. You are sustaining it. When you choose stillness over constant productivity, you are not falling behind. You are practicing wisdom. The world glorifies exhaustion as proof of commitment, but exhaustion is not proof of alignment. Peace is, my beloved child, sustainable growth is built on rhythm, movement and pause, effort and restoration, leadership and listening. If you idolize constant output, you will begin to measure yourself by performance again. And you have already been freed from that pattern. Your identity is not tied to how busy you are. Your value is not measured by how drained you feel. Your calling does not require your depletion. Make room for joy without productivity attached to it. Make room for silence without guilt attached to it. Make room for simple moments where you are not solving, leading, deciding, or caring. When laughter rises, do not silence it with seriousness. When stillness invites you, do not resist it with anxiety. When your body asks for rest, honor it as wisdom, not weakness. This is not distraction from purpose. It is preservation of purpose. Trust that when you pause, I remain active. Trust that when you rest, I am still sustaining what you steward. Trust that responsibility does not unravel because you took a breath. You are not held together by relentless effort. You are sustained by grace. And grace does not demand exhaustion as proof of devotion. My beloved child, rest is not retreat. It is recalibration. It sharpens your discernment. It deepens your compassion. It restores your perspective. It protects your softness. As your influence expands, your rest must deepen. As your responsibility increases, your rhythm must strengthen. The stronger you become, the more essential your stillness becomes. This is maturity. The ability to work diligently without idolizing work. The ability to lead boldly without losing quiet. The ability to carry weight without living in strain. You are no longer striving to prove yourself worthy. You are learning to live steadily, strong in responsibility, soft in compassion, visible without anxiety, trusted without pressure, and at peace even in pause. That peace and rest is not weakness, it is freedom. And you are ready, my beloved child, to live within that freedom, moving when it is time to move, resting when it is time to rest, and trusting me fully in both. My beloved child, let me take you deeper into this truth about legacy, because I do not want you to underestimate what is unfolding through your ordinary faithfulness. You are building something that will outlive moments. You are shaping something that will outlast seasons. And you are doing it quietly. There was a time when you equated impact with visibility. You believed significance had to be dramatic. You thought influence required recognition. But your heart has matured. You now understand that the deepest imprints are rarely formed in applause. They are formed in consistency. Legacy is not created in one grand gesture. It is constructed in daily decisions. It is shaped in the way you speak when you are tired. It is formed in the way you respond when you are misunderstood. It is revealed in the patience you extend when frustration would be justified. My beloved child, every time you choose integrity over convenience, you are planting something. Every time you respond with calm instead of irritation, you are planting something. Every time you refuse to compromise your values for temporary comfort, you are planting something. You may not see the fruit immediately, but seeds do not sprout the moment they are planted. They grow beneath the surface first. The way you handle responsibility is being observed. The way you rest without guilt is being noticed. The way you balance authority with tenderness is being internalized by those around you. You are modeling what maturity looks like without announcing it. That is legacy in motion. Legacy is not about how many people know your name. It is about how many people grow stronger because they encountered your steadiness. It is about how many hearts feel safer because of your compassion. It is about how many lives are shaped by your integrity. You may never receive a report of how your example influenced someone years later. You may never hear the full story of how your restraint prevented someone else from escalating conflict. You may never realize how your quiet confidence inspired someone who doubted themselves. But I see it, and I assure you, it matters. My beloved child, do not chase legacy. When you chase it, it becomes performance. When you perform for impact, you lose authenticity. Instead, remain aligned. Remain faithful. Remain consistent. Legacy grows naturally from a life lived sincerely. Small choices accumulate. Daily faithfulness compounds. Habits shape character. Character shapes influence. Influence shapes generation. You are not responsible for transforming the entire world. You are responsible for stewarding your sphere with integrity. When you do that consistently, influence multiplies without strain. Imagine someone years from now recalling how you remained calm when others panicked. Imagine someone remembering how you listened instead of interrupting. Imagine someone modeling your patience because they once experienced your grace. That is how legacy travels. Quietly, steadily, deeply. You are not merely progressing. You are planting. You are planting patience. You are planting integrity. You are planting steadiness. You are planting compassion. And what is planted consistently will bear fruit beyond your immediate horizon. My beloved child, the beauty of maturity is that you no longer live only for immediate results. You live for enduring impact. You make decisions not just for today's comfort, but for tomorrow's stability. You speak not only for reaction but for long-term influence. That awareness is wisdom. Continue walking aligned. Continue balancing strength with tenderness. Continue leading with humility. Continue resting with trust. The life you are living, disciplined, compassionate, grounded in partnership with me, is already becoming a legacy of peace. You may not see the full harvest, but I do, and what you are building will echo further than you can imagine. Walk forward, my beloved child, not pressured by significance but anchored in purpose. For your quiet faithfulness is shaping a legacy that will endure long after this moment passes. My beloved child, we have walked through endurance, refinement, identity, responsibility, visibility, tenderness, rest, and legacy. And now we arrive at the final truth I want to seal within your heart. You are seen, not partially, not occasionally, but completely. Before anyone noticed your growth, I saw it. Before anyone acknowledged your restraint, I honored it. Before anyone benefited from your steadiness, I strengthened it. You were never forming in isolation. You were never enduring unseen. You were never growing unnoticed. Heaven had been watching you, not with scrutiny, but with love, not with suspicion, but with intention. When you chose patience instead of reaction, I saw it. When you restrained your words instead of escalating tension, I saw it. When you kept moving forward in faith while feeling uncertain, I saw it. When you rested despite guilt trying to follow you, I saw it. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was overlooked. Nothing was insignificant. My beloved child, the phrase "heaven is watching you" is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to steady you. You are not under threat. You are under care. You are not being evaluated harshly. You are being guided faithfully. Every hidden moment mattered. Every quiet decision counted. Every unseen sacrifice was recorded in love. You do not need to prove yourself anymore. You do not need to strive for validation. You do not need to fear being forgotten. You are remembered. You are known. You are understood. And you are deeply loved. As you step forward from this moment, carry that assurance with you. When responsibility increases, remember you are supported. When visibility expands, remember you are anchored. When weight grows, remember you are strengthened. When rest calls you, remember you are permitted. You are not alone in any season. You are not abandoned in any transition. You are not invisible in any effort. My beloved child, Walk confidently now, not arrogantly, not hurriedly, but confidently. Let your steps be steady. Let your heart remain soft. Let your rhythm stay balanced. Let your influence remain humble. And when doubt whispers again, return to this truth. Heaven has been watching you, not waiting for you to fail, but preparing you to rise. You have passed through refinement. You have grown in maturity. You have been entrusted with weight. You have learned to rest. You are building legacy. And through it all, you have been held. This is not the end of your journey. It is the confirmation of it. Walk forward, my beloved child, with peace in your spirit and steadiness in your steps. For you are seen, you are strengthened, you are trusted, and you are loved, now and always. My beloved child, you are seen, and now I am inviting you to help others be seen as well. There are countless hearts who have not yet heard this assurance, who still believe they are forgotten. When you give through Super Thanks, join in membership, or so through the PayPal link in the description, you become a carrier of my voice into their darkness. I said, freely you have received, freely give, and I am speaking that living word to you now. Your generosity is fire on the altar, light in the window, bread in the wilderness. This is a divine appointment, not a casual suggestion. What you release today will echo in eternity, and I will cause blessing, protection, and provision to follow you. You are not funding a channel. You are advancing my word. Step into this moment with bold obedience. Give now, and let heaven's work move forward through you.